Hi guys. So this came in from a student this week who is having to graph without like making a t-table. Like they're expected to be able to look at the function itself and be able to sketch a general graph of this function. So let's take a look at that. Um, and get some ideas. So one thing to know is that this will work in a similar way to another function family of like the quadratics. So let's think about if this was a quadratic function and it looked like this. The numbers are very similar, similar situation, right? Think about, the vertex. Probably you've probably seen quadratics by now, and they probably are much more familiar to you. And the vertex, remember, would be the opposite of the parentheses and then the number at the end, right? So it would be at -3, -2, and generally that it's going to be opening upward because A is positive right here. And so it's just a sort of a basic quadratic, a parabola at -3, -2. So you would know that it's going to kind of look something like this. And yeah, okay. So we know that about a quadratic. Well, let's use that idea and understand that a radical function is going to work very similar to this as a square root function. In other words, what's happening underneath the radical is going to give us like a really good starting point. And so it works the same way, the opposite number, -3, and then the number at the end is -2. So notice that our jumping off point is the same. -3, -2. We don't have a negative in front. So this, a square root function looks a lot like a square root symbol. It has a look to me that's a very similar idea. So something like this, something like this, something like this, right? We know it's in some way that shape. So we if your teacher's good with you just knowing that and doing that check mark sort of shape, then you can stop the video here. You've got the idea. But a lot of times you're going to be asked to find maybe like an x-intercept. So think about if this is your y equals square root of x plus 3 minus 2. Let me put the -2 outside better of that radical. Then, this is a time when you could say, okay, well, what do I know about an x-intercept? I know that an x-intercept does not go up or down from the x-axis. So think about what your y value is on any x-intercept. The y value is 0. So I want to figure out what x would be when y is 0 in this function. And so I would add 2 to both sides. And, to solve with square roots, I just want to square both sides so that I can solve underneath here. So 2 squared, 2 times 2 is 4. And the square root squared is just whatever was underneath. So let's subtract 3. So x is 1. So our x-intercept is 1. And that tells me that my square root function is going to look something like this. Now let me give you the nice clean version. Yeah, something like that. But notice how it crosses right through that x-intercept at 1. And those are really the two key points that you can use. So depending on what you're asked to find, this is if you would be asked to find that initial point and then your x-intercept. All right, I hope that's helpful. See you next time.